You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. We have a loaded show today, so let's give you a preview. Bill Belichik reportedly wants to be a coach in the NFL again, and the Giants are at the top of his list. Also, we have some more top 30 visits to get into surrounding the quarterback position, and we'll close out today's show quickly going through Dane Brugler of The Athletic and his new 7-round mock draft. I like what he did for the Giants. Can't wait to talk about it. But first, I need to make sure everybody watching today's video is following me over on Instagram. Hit me up on IG at @MarshallGreen_. And the first 20 people that give me a follow, I'm giving you a follow back. Giants Now by Chat Sports is presented by 8 Sleep. Go to 8sleep.com/chatsports, get $200 off, and get free shipping as well. Invest in the rest that you deserve. We'll tell you more about our awesome sponsor, 8 Sleep, coming up in a second, but let's dive into today's video. As reports are coming out from ESPN, reportedly Bill Belichik has told people close to him that if he wants to get back coaching in the National Football League, teams like the New York Giants, Dallas Cowboys, and Philadelphia Eagles are teams that he is interested in. This was the write-up from ESPN where they said, quote, Bill Belichik is believed to be bidding his time until next January for openings on teams he has told confidants he would be interested in coaching. The Dallas Cowboys, Philadelphia Eagles, and the New York Football Giants. And as I love to say, once a Giant, always a Giant. And Bill Belichik, you will always be a Giant in my book. And I would love for a guy. Wait, hold on. Producer text, what do we got here? Except 26? Once a Giant, always a Giant, except Saquon Barkley? Yeah, you know what? I actually do agree with that. Seriously, though, I would love to see Bill Belichik back as the head coach of the Giants, but does it make all that much sense right now? Let's break that down in a second, but first, let's take a trip down memory lane. As we know, Bill Belichik was spectacular as the defensive coordinator for the New York Giants, but that's not all he did. In 1979, he was the special teams and defensive assistant. 80 to 84, he was the linebacker coach and special teams coordinator. Then, in 1985, he was made the defensive coordinator of the New York Giants, and he helped them win 2 Super Bowls, and he coached, in my opinion, the best player ever in LT. The real LT, Lawrence Taylor. It's hard to pass up on Bill Belichik. What is it, 8 Super Bowl rings for him at this point? In my opinion, the best head coach of all time. He's been with the Giants before. He's had success there. But I kind of like Brian Daboll as my head coach right now. And there hasn't really been anything that I've seen in the last 2 years that would tell me that we need to fire Brian Daboll after this season and move on. But I will say this. John Mara, hearing that Bill Belichik maybe wants to go coach the Giants again, that definitely turned up the heat on the seat of Brian Daboll. Dabes, your seat got hotter today because, tell you what, there are still a lot of fans in the building, a lot of people there that still work for the Giants that love Bill Belichik, and it could be a full circle moment for him and the New York Giants as well. But you know what? You go out, you have a good year, you get better, you show improvement, it'll be your job. Once again, Brian Daboll. I want to question all the real ones, though. Who would you rather be the head coach of the New York Giants? Is it Brian Daboll or is it Bill Belichik? Has the game passed him by? Let me know. Type BD or BB. Coming up next, the New York Giants are hosting Spencer Rattler and Bo Nix on top 30 visits in the NFL draft. The Giants take their top 30 visits very, very seriously, which tells me both of those guys are on their short list of players who they would like to draft. That's around the corner. Right now, I got to tell you about our awesome sponsor, 8 Sleep. Shout out to 8 Sleep for being the proud presenting sponsor of New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. Look, it's the high-tech solution to your age-old sleeping issue. 8 Sleep's Pod 3 cover slips right over your mattress, bringing heating and cooling technology that keeps you comfortable and sleeping deeper for a better, more restful night. I love 8 Sleep because it has totally stopped my night sweats. I'm someone that even when it's 30 degrees outside and the fan is on, AC is set low, I would still find a way to sweat. That is until I got hooked up with 8 Sleep. The pod cover will improve your sleep by automatically adjusting your bed's temperature based on your individual needs. The cover can be added to any bed like a fitted sheet and allows you and your partner to cool or warm your side of the bed, as low as 55 degrees and up to 110 degrees. Go to 8sleep.com/chatsports and get $200 off, plus free shipping on the pod cover by 8 Sleep. On average, pod users see their sleep quality improve by 32% after just a month on the pod. Invest in the rest that you deserve. 8 Sleep is the high-tech solution to your age-old sleeping issues. Shout out to them, the intelligent sleep system, and you can get better sleep at 8sleep.com/chatsports. Because we love and care about you, I'll make sure all that information is clickable down in the comments and description of today's video. Let's close it talking out about Spencer Rattler and Bo Nix here. Both coming in on top 30 visits. That is very important because when you talk about players that have come in on top 30 visits over the last 2 years since Joe Schoen has been here, it's guys like Kayvon Thibodeau, Evan Neal, Cordell Flott, Dane Belton, DJ Davidson, Deontay Banks, John Michael Schmitz, Jalen Hyatt, and Trey Hawkins. That's 9 players in the last 2 years that have been drafted that have come with top 30 visits. Let's talk about Nix, then we'll talk about Rattler. For me, some pros for Bo Nix. His pre-snap processing, his ability to get the ball out on time and on target is something that I do really, really like about his game. I think he is really accurate inside the numbers, and I think when the ball is thrown less than 15 yards, he could be very accurate. He's got a little playmaking in his game as well, and he is a plus rusher and a plus athlete. I think he's a little conservative, though, when it comes to decision-making. He'll pass up potentially a chunk play to take that check down. There's just a lack of high-level throws. When you talk about Bo Nix and what he did at Oregon this past year, it was really just throw the ball 9 yards past the line of scrimmage. I mean, 27.6% of his throws were behind the line of scrimmage, and 39.4% of his throws were shorter than 9 yards. And my question overall is, does that type of football, playing that point guard style position like Rajon Rondo, translate to the NFL, where you're throwing bubble passes, screen passes, and you're consistently throwing short of the sticks? I do not know. I have a 3rd-round grade on Bo Nix. I love the way he takes care of the football. Major pro for me. Just 3 picks this year, 7 the year prior, and only 20 in the last 4 years. He's much better than he was at Auburn. There's no doubt about it. But he's an older prospect, and I wonder if it took him going to an offense like Oregon that is quarterback friendly for him to really, really show what he can do, which I'm not sure if it translates to the National Football League. On Spencer Rattler, on the other hand, elite footwork from Rattler. Elite mechanics. Like when you see this guy throw on air, it's like his feet are always tied to his hips, and his hips and his feet are always tied to his shoulders. His ability to just have always control and good mechanics is really good for me. I think his arm talent is underrated. Look at Pro Football Focus. They say he doesn't have a big arm. I would argue that, to be honest with you. I think he does. I think he can touch every blade of grass on a football field. He can do it with awkward arm angles. He can make plays. He's an underrated playmaker. Not a great athlete, but an underrated playmaker. Kind of like a little Patrick Mahomes, where he can scramble and you can see the dad bod go for about 10 or 12 yards. I think he's got that ability. Some cons. Hero ball. I don't know if that's because he had to do that at South Carolina or because that's just how he played, but he put the ball in harm's way a little bit too much. Not a great athlete, turns 24 during the season, and has he matured? We all know the long history of Spencer Rattler. Has he finally matured? I got him as a round 3 grade, the same as Bo Nix. The stats don't pop off the page unless you're looking at the 2020 season when he was a part of Oklahoma, but I like him. I do. And he makes me question kind of my evaluation and also my thought process as to if it's not a top 5 quarterback in this class, if it's not Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy, or Michael Penix, I've kind of been on this kick where I'm like, I don't want any of these guys. It is very rare, especially since the year of 2017, that a quarterback in the mid-rounds really hits. It hasn't worked out all that well. You got a guy like Brock Purdy and Jalen Hurts. Outside of that, didn't really work. Sure, you had Dak Prescott the year before that, and there was some success prior to that. But if you don't think a quarterback's good enough to take him in the first round, I'm just of the belief that you don't. But if there was a quarterback in this draft class that I was willing to pull the trigger on when it comes to a mid-round draft pick, it is Spencer Rattler. Rattler is my mid-round quarterback target. I think the mechanics are flawless. I love the way that he's a gamer. He's an underrated playmaker. I think he can make every single throw. I love the way he targets the middle of the football field as well. And I think him and a Brian Dable-led offense could make a lot of sense. But I just wonder if he could ever get to the point that I think I can see him at. Former guy that was one of the top quarterbacks coming out of high school. He was projected to be a first-round pick after his first year of Oklahoma, and things kind of went sideways. But he's been a team captain 3 years in a row. Has he matured? That's the biggest question mark, because I believe inside those white lines that there is a quarterback in there that could be successful in the NFL. We'll get to the mock draft in a second. I want you to pick a QB, though. Both coming on top 30 visits, both on a very short list of quarterbacks the Giants have had and on top 30 visits. So pick one. Who do you want? Spencer Rattler or Bo Nix? Let's close it out with a quick look into Dane Brugler and his 7-round mock draft. In my opinion, Dane Brugler is the number 1 draft guy in the world, works for The Athletic, came out with his The Beast. It is the best draft preview guide out there. Go and check it out. Dane has come on to the Cowboys Report here at Chat Sports. He is awesome. He does great work. Let's unpack his mock draft. Round 1, pick 6. He has Malik Nabers, the do-it-all wide receiver out of LSU, becoming a member of the New York Giants. And if I had to rank what I think is the most likely player to be a Giant right now, it is Malik Nabers. I'd say 50% Malik Nabers, 30% Marvin Harrison Jr., and then 20% a quarterback. And if you get Nabers, it's going to be a hell of a pick. Listen to what Brugler had to say about him. Quote, I think the Giants will examine their trade-up options for a QB, but in this scenario, they stay put and add their true premier weapon they have been missing. Nabers would have been my number 1 overall prospect in each of the last 2 draft classes. Giants would be getting a special player in Malik Nabers. I would give it an A-plus pick because you get the second best player at a very, very big position of need. We could go all day about how the Giants need to add more playmakers and how special Malik Nabers is. But at this point, if you don't know about him, you might just have to find out when he touches the football field. Round 2, love this pick. Safety, Jaden Hicks out of Washington State, 6'3", 212 pounds. He is the 47th selection for the New York Giants. Had 76 tackles last year, 2 interceptions, 4 pass breakups. There's some things I really like about his game, some things I think he needs to work on. Brugler does a good job of illustrating that, saying Hicks is a rangy, intimidating presence at 6'3", both downhill and on the back end. And he offers the multi-dimensional traits to develop into an NFL starter. He projects as a scheme-friendly safety who should also contribute immediately on special teams. He could play in the box. He could be that deep safety. He could be that big nickel. I like his versatility, and I think he would fit in a Shane Bowen defense. And when you look at the safety depth chart for the Giants, it would make some sense to go out and target one and make that maybe a priority pick. We all love Pennock. I think Belton's got more potential than I think a lot of people have talked about. But outside of that, you're razor thin with 7th rounder Javarius Owens and veteran minimum Jalen Mills. Round 3, pick 70, Trey Benson, the running back out of Florida State. He is the pick the Giants make. I like Benson. I don't love him. I think I have him as my 5th or 6th running back in this class. I don't really like the wiggle that he has. I feel like he's a little bit stiff, still learning to play the position. But, man, when he has a step on you, he's probably going the distance. And at 6'1", 223, he's big. He runs big. He runs through arm tackles. He's really that one-cut-and-go type of back. I wonder what type of ability he can possess in the receiving game. I think he only caught like 23 balls over the last 2 years. Don't know if that's because he can't or they didn't ask him to. Something I always struggle when, gauging these prospects. But Giants need a running back. He's one of the best in the class, according to all the experts. I'd be cool if he was a New York Giant. This was a pick that I didn't necessarily love, and it goes against what I mentioned a couple of moments ago. I don't really want to draft a quarterback unless it's top 5, and if I was a mid-round guy, it'd be Rattler. But I understand why Michael Pratt was the pick at 107 for the New York Giants from Dane Brugler's mock draft. There's a lot of things to like about him. He had a really good collegiate career at Tulane, completing 65% of his passes, 27 total touchdowns, but it's the way he takes care of the football. Like, he is, in my opinion, kind of like a really, really off-brand Kirk Cousins, where he's not athletic, or not athletic's a stretch. He is athletic, a little bit more so than Kirk Cousins, but the arm talent for me is in question. The ability to be a game changer is a little bit of a question mark. Kirk answered all those questions, but for me, I just wouldn't take a quarterback just to say I did. I don't love the pick of Pratt, but that's who Brugler has. Round 5, pick 166. He has the outside cornerback Josh Newton from TCU. 6 foot, 190 pounds. Look, it's round 5. You're betting on trait series. Got good size. I thought he played pretty well. Struggled in that game against Texas against some top-end receivers like A.D. Mitchell and Xavier Worthy. But in round 5, you need a corner, and I don't hate this one. Last pick of the draft. I know I'm going to butcher this young man's name, so I apologize. I believe it is Justin Eboigbe. If I am wrong, which I am, I apologize. But he's an interior defensive lineman going to the Giants in round 6, pick 183 at 6'5", 292 pounds. I think he's got underrated pass rushing skills from the inside. As you see, 7 sacks last year. He had that sack against Texas A&M that maybe was a touchdown or maybe was a safety if you remember that game from this past fall. But I like to pick Giants. You could always have more pass rushers, and especially guys that can get after it in the interior. Him next to Dexter Lawrence, I think it'd make a lot of sense, and I'm a fan. Always cool with adding more Crimson Tide players. So this is the mock draft as a whole. You get Nabers, you get Hicks, Benson, Pratt, Newton, and Big Justice is what I will call him. Shout out to Big Justice and the boys over on TikTok. Grade this mock draft for me, though. A, B, C, D, or F. I want to hear from all the real ones. For me, I give this a B. I love the first 2 rounds. Malik Nabers, home run pick. Love the betting on the upside of Jaden Hicks. You get a playmaker in Trey Benson, and then you attack really a couple of needs other spots. I just don't love the pick of Michael Pratt. I think you could get a player at that spot that could help this team right now and in the future. I think it's just a question mark if Pratt will ever be that guy or if he's just another Kyle Lauletta or something like that. Make sure you are following me over on social media. I kindly ask on Instagram. I'm trying to grow my Instagram. My boss told me my Instagram sucks. So help me change the mind of my boss that my Instagram sucks. Hit me up over there, and let's go Big Blue.